Hey everybody, it's Tom, your host for another watch review. Before I get into it, I wanted to let y'all know I'm thinking I'm going to title these reviews as Telling Time with Tom. This will be episode 2, the first Omega in space. Let me know in the comments below if you think that's a good name for the review or not. First things first, wrist check. I'm rocking my mid-2000s Rolex Explorer 2 with the polar dial. It's an awesome watch, and it was an actual bargain when I purchased it back in late 2006, early 2007. It's been a pivotal piece of my collection and really was the beginning of my collection. I look forward to giving y'all a full review on it. Just pardon the wear and tear. Under macro, she's going to look a little rough. Moving on to today's subject. Up for your viewing pleasure today is the first Omega in space from the Speedmaster series. The reference will be linked in the description below. This is from my personal collection, and I must say that it is a wonderful watch overall. The presentation of this watch at this price point, I think, is something Omega should be proud of. This is really well done. If you see this box, you'll be floored. It's got, chrome hardware, a mission identifier plaque. The watch sits very well on some gray suede. It's beautiful. And this watch is priced very competitively with Omega's lineup and with other Swiss mechanical chronographs. But let's start with a little bit of history. As many of you know, Omega has been manufacturing Speedmasters for NASA since '65 when they won the contract. However, 3 years before that, Wally Schirra actually wore his own personal Speedmaster into space on the Sigma 7 mission. This became the first Omega in space. In 2012, Omega decided to pay tribute to that watch with a modern reissue dubbed the first Omega in space. It's a numbered edition, not a limited edition, so basically Omega's banking on you buying this in the hopes that it will be discontinued. But that little gimmick aside, this watch has some really awesome features which drew me into purchasing it. The first thing that drew me to this watch is the proportions. At 39.7 millimeter, it's got a classic diameter, 47 mil lug to lug, and a 14 mil thickness that really wears more like an 11 millimeter with the case back sinking into your wrist a little bit. Wears extremely well, and the downward curved lugs make it very comfortable. My biggest complaint with this watch is the strap. As you can see here from the boutique, I've only got 3/4 of an inch left hanging off the end for me to tuck under the little leather retainer there, and that's just not enough. I was expecting more. It's also 19 millimeters wide, so any replacement straps are going to be hard to find. One of the biggest selling points for this watch to me, though, was the sapphire crystal. It's got a beautiful box dome sapphire crystal, and I'm just too rough on my watches to really go for a Hesalite crystal. So some will say that it's not, genuinely a Speedmaster, but I think if you look at it, it really is quite a beautiful crystal, even though some people complain about a little milk ring around the edges. I find it to be very pretty. Inside, Omega's installed the caliber 1861, a close relative, if not nearly identical to the 1863, just without the final fit and finish that they put on the caliber 1863, which goes in their display caseback watches. Very nice movement, a manual wound, cam actuated chronograph with a 48-hour power reserve that beats at 21,600 beats per hour, or 3 hertz. Some people have installed a display caseback on these. I know several Omega modders have done that successfully, and it really is quite a nice movement. The 1861 is not qualified as finish grade by Omega, but it's by no means ugly. And the caseback here, as you can see, is also very nice. It's got the traditional Seamaster logo, the date that Wally Schirra went into space, along with your numbered edition etched on the sides of the caseback. Returning to the front of the watch in detail, you notice off the bat 3 recessed subdials that really add to the dimension of the watch. The polished silver hands represent the non-chronograph functions of the watch, so hours, minutes, and the 9 o'clock subdial represents the continuous seconds. The white baton style hands indicate the chronograph function, so the chronograph seconds in large white, the 30-minute counter on the 3 o'clock, and the 12-hour counter at the 6 o'clock. At the 12 o'clock, a vintage applied silver Omega logo is present that really adds something special to the watch. The remaining markers are printed and loomed just enough to be functional. However, the seconds hand could have used a slightly wider strip of loom for better legibility in the dark. I have a little bit of trouble with this sometimes. Despite not having quite enough loom, the polished alpha hands do catch quite a bit of light, adding to the legibility. I was fortunate enough to be traveling overseas in a country that did not charge sales tax when I acquired this piece, so I paid less than $4,000 for it, and there are deals to be had on Omega, so go to the boutique nearest to you and see what they've got. Just the other day, I saw a Railmaster on sale for 30% off, putting it at around $3,200, which is an amazing price for an Omega watch. For $5,200, a lot of people are going to say that Omega really could have put a column wheel chronograph movement in here. And I agree with that. I know that it's not period, but neither is the sapphire crystals, so they obviously are holding back on the customer a little bit with that. I would have preferred a column wheel. I think it's a beautiful piece of machinery, and it's an absolute pleasure to use. So that will be a future purchase, I think, for me. But this watch became something I never expected it to be, which is a dress piece. The lack of a date and the high polish and semi-gloss combination really make it something that I enjoy wearing with nicer clothing. As far as the functionality and legibility at night, the loom does leave a little something to be desired, but it is still functional, so I can't fault them for that. Overall, a wonderful watch. I don't think it's going to leave the collection anytime soon, and I am still really enjoying wearing it. I have, I believe, 2 straps on the way from cheapest natostraps.com. I'll give you guys an update maybe in another month and post some pictures on my Instagram page of that when I get it in. I really hope you guys enjoyed my review of the first Omega in space. It was an absolute pleasure to film. And if you're interested in more content like this, please subscribe. It means a lot. Comment down below what you'd like to see. Right now I'm working on an unboxing video for a new Orient I just got in today. And working on getting my Instagram page set up and some new equipment to make my macro shots better. So stay tuned, guys.